Hey, I'm Steven Carse. I started King of Pops with my brother in 2010 and have been at it ever since, making pops and pretty much anything else we could think of. So my oldest brother, Ashley, is an anthropologist, and before he got his current tenured professor gig at Vanderbilt, he was out and about doing his field work in different countries throughout Latin America. Panama, Mexico, Ecuador, and my go-to trips were to wherever he happened to be that particular year, month, week, and just kind of crash on his couch. And for whatever reason, the paleta, which is the Spanish word for popsicle, they're similar in form but different in inspiration. They use all natural fruits, interesting flavors, flavor combinations. For whatever reason at a bus stop, got one and started to fall in love with that product and got excited about the idea of bringing it back to the States. Farmers markets were happening, food trucks were happening, and people seemed to care more about what they were putting in their bodies. Fast forward to 2008, 2009, the financial crisis was going on, and I got laid off and decided, heck, why not give this thing a try? We wanted to have this cool shop in Ponce Highlands next to Buddy's gas station, and I had $7,000 saved. Turns out when the construction and the general contractor came out to tell me about what it was going to cost, the grease trap alone was going to cost tens of thousands of dollars, and that just didn't compute in my mind. First, we don't really deal with any grease, but secondarily didn't have that much money. So that was really the thing that we have to thank for how our business ended up being on carts and being all around all these fun events and flexible. And yeah, so grease traps, don't love them personally, but I guess thank you for forcing us down this path that's turned out to be pretty awesome. Yeah, I think it was a couple of things. It wasn't like a snap, this is exactly what we want to do right now. It was just like percolating in the brain, and sometimes when there's ideas that are ricocheting around for years, there's something to that. So I think that was part of it. I love the simplicity of it. I loved how like you could have a flavor that's just strawberry, or you could try to do something that's, you know, more culinary minded. So I love that simplicity. I love the mobility of it and the fact that it can be taken places. And I mean, it seemed like work could be fun doing that, which is a big theme and goal of mine, and trying to figure out how to incorporate more of that into my life, both by design and then also just in the day-to-day. So I think the people that love us the most have their King of Pop story, whether it's like I was trying to have a good engagement story and we helped them by being a part of the surprise, whether the ring was like in the wrapper, or we used to actually put it in the pop, which was ill-advised and very risky on our side. But just like little moments like that at scale, we call them unexpected moments of happiness, but little moments like that at scale are what make these brands special. And I mean, I think in general, there's like a very high level, rightfully so, of distrust with just companies. And so we want to be the inverse of that. We want to try to be very authentic and open and admit our mistakes and invite people in, and you know, all of those things. I think over time that adds up to something special, but I would be lying if I said I had it figured out. So our mural was painted on North Avenue, North Highland at the laundromat where we started King of Pops. So we started in the Buddy's parking lot and got laid off like in the fall, kind of had a winter of like, what am I doing? So a good friend of mine is an artist. He had never done a mural, but I coaxed him into trying with the promise of free pops and some beer, and we went out there and painted this pretty big mural in kind of February, and it gained a lot of attention just because it said King of Pops. It was a big red popsicle with a crown on it. People had no idea what that was. So that ended up being like a unintentional marketing stroke of genius, perhaps. And then, yeah, the logo is really the same story of just like a friend that was talented, that was nice enough to work with me on it and go back and forth a million times. And I think really the name and the logo and the whole, we got so lucky with it. I mean, you can name 1,000 things and like, you might think it's genius ahead of time, and half the time it is, half the time it isn't. But I think the name just happened to be the perfect fit for what we ended up being. It's just fun. It doesn't take yourself too seriously, but kind of take good product. So I don't know. We got lucky, but I think that's what we've been pretty good at over the years, is like a decent eye and then editing things out. We try a lot of stuff, and when things don't work well, we are not afraid to kind of say, oh, let's edit that out. We didn't nail it, let's try again with something else. I like branding a lot, and I think that is where it starts. Like, you have to respect it and care about it and like it in order for it to be good. And if it's just a strategy, it's going to be soulless. If it's something that you actually love, you kind of can't be wrong with it. I don't know a different way to say that. So part of that process, which is annoying, I think, to be on the graphic design part, is just like, even if you can't put into words what you don't love, being honest about that takes like some trust in a relationship, and being willing to just lean into that with each other. And I think it ends up being better work. And then I think there's other things that can't have that same level of quality, I guess, because if you hold yourself to that level of quality for everything, you'll never put anything out there. So it's this weird balance of, is this something that we want to live on forever, or is this just like something that is going on to social media for 30 minutes of attention? I don't know. The landscape of marketing, social media in particular, just changes so quickly, and you can understand it better, which is always worth trying to do. And again, like, you just gotta at some point put content out there. Our ethos there, if you kind of just think about things thematically, was really just about a pretty fun product, and what do people care about? They care probably about the flavors, and it's entertaining to watch people be kind of silly. So those are the things that kind of hit on that. But you do so many, we talk about this with events too, like you host so many events, and you're hoping that hundreds or thousands of people will come, and then 6 people come, and you're like sad about it. It's kind of the same with, I think, marketing campaigns. You do something that fits your brand, you put it out there, and then you try not to get your feelings hurt too much if it goes great or doesn't go great. That's just kind of how we've approached things. In some ways it's worked, in some ways we have like ebbs and flow, I think, of just like, we're nailing it and we're not nailing it. I think the discipline of being consistent and being willing to have a consistent message for a period that seems agonizingly long when you're in it. I've been trying to better get comfortable with saying the same messages over and over. And even like some of the very first messages, like why all natural pops are important to begin with, is like, for us it seems like such table stakes, like, but we forget we need to introduce this to new people all the time. So like, the fact that there's not food coloring in our pops like seems very obvious. But if somebody that's just getting introduced to the brand in like Macon, Georgia or something, they might not know that. So we have to remember, we have to say all these basic things that we think should just be obvious over and over. I think that's the area where I want to focus and improve, and just be more intentional about our messaging rather than just saying the latest thing that's on the top of our mind. Yeah, I'm excited about a lot of stuff. I think we believe that there's a certain amount of frenetic energy around new stuff that people appreciate with our brand, and then there's a certain amount of headaches that come with it, new stuff, and just discomfort, and certainly like leading the team, make sure we're not going too many directions. But I mean, I think the most exciting stuff right now is just our franchising piece, which is a pivot that we did during COVID. Obviously a rough time for a lot of businesses. Our business in particular was focused on large gatherings like the Braves or Bonnaroo or graduation at Emory. All that stuff kind of turned off overnight. And so we started franchising the cart opportunity out to people that might be in different neighborhoods and communities and connected with kind of the more grassroots local events. So like the word franchising kind of gives me the shivers a little bit, but it turned out to be this really great fit for our brand in the sense that people are able to have a thing in their neck of the woods and connect with their community in a way that was just very similar to how we started the brand, 15 years ago in Ponce Highlands. So yeah, we're looking for these folks, we call them cartrepreneurs, in different areas across the South. And yeah, that's our focus and kind of our growth vehicle. So if you know somebody, our ask would be, or if you are interested, we'd love to chat with folks about that. And it's just it's a cool opportunity and a fun way to work with us as a brand and get to interact with your community in a different way. So that's the piece I'm kind of laser focused on right now from the growth side of the business. And that's been going really well. So we've grown that program to 50 or so folks, 50 or so territories, and we'll continue growing that year over year. It's a cool ecosystem because we get those pops to those franchisees through the distribution company that we started almost a decade ago now. The idea for that distribution company was that big scale food distribution is not conducive to small food brands. We obviously have a lot of friends that are starting similar thoughtful businesses here in the South, so we wanted to help them get those products around, and so we have this truck network delivering so they can help our franchisees. And then we realized we're going to all these places, we should make some other great products, so we started making bar mixes and Prince of Pops, which is a smaller pop. All these things kind of make sense together, but not on their own. So that's been just exciting as a whole to kind of vertically integrate more of our opportunities and take better advantage of them. So I think that's like the business as a whole. The franchise piece forces us to be more strategic and think about like our product offerings and how we want to talk about them with a further out timeline, which has been a good practice. So I'm excited to see kind of the work we've done over the last 6 months of planning play itself out this spring, because in the winter we don't sell that much, so a lot of the pre-work we don't see the benefits of until spring comes. So just the new flavors that are coming out, it's always kind of that's what people know us for. That's what we're excited to see how they operate, whether it's a new Prince of Pops flavor, King of Pops flavor, a new pop tail at the bar, all those things that we've been working on the off season. We got some good stuff rolling. So we have a flavor pyramid, and we've got traditional at the bottom. That's like your strawberry, blueberry, chocolate, things people kind of know. Then we've got a foodie section and an adventurous section at the very top. And our LTOs, monthly kind of offerings, is how we're running it this year, where we've got a new flavor we're going to come out with every month that we're really going to highlight and talk a lot about. Yeah, I mean, the team downstairs, the Frosty Freaks, have been working on it for, typically 6 months before it sees the light of day. So that's kind of different than when we started it in 2010. We would just make kind of something and throw it out there, 50 of them. But now, like with the logistics and getting things out and really capitalizing on all the hard work that's going into it, it's a much longer process. So we have a group of people that meet probably every other week, and we're tasting pops and giving feedback. We're looking for trends. We're looking for kind of partners. A lot of the fun inspiration comes with like collaborations with other cool food brands or other cool chefs or mixologists, people that kind of can bring ideas to us, and we can kind of reimagine how that might look as a dessert or popsicle. But yeah, that's the process. It's probably like kind of bringing anything new to market. We hired a new, kind of for the first time since COVID, a new role, which is just about creating new amazing things. And most of them are pops, but she's also working on the other offerings that we're making. Her name's Jessica Luna. She's doing an amazing job. So she's kind of leading the charge on the R&D side of things, and then we're all kind of responding to that. And it goes through a lot of filters. It goes through the filter of like, is this gonna be noteworthy on the marketing side? Are people actually going to purchase it? Are people actually going to like it when they do purchase it? Those are all very different things. You put out something like we have a golden milk one with Spice Walla that was our January flavor, and it's delicious. It's a cool collaboration. It's kind of on trend, and it's also January, so not that many people tried it. So, but part of it is just putting stuff out there and keeping it going, which is kind of just a theme that I think we keep coming back to. We're in a sweet spot where like, we're not so small that like every last thing is figured out on the fly, but we're not so large that it's a system that can't be changed. We're like in an artisan space that's right in the middle. So we have a nice amount of scale where we're good for like getting some visibility for both. It helps both brands really, but it's not going to interrupt our process too much. I mean, it's definitely a headache for the production team to do these small runs, but it's what the brand's all about. So it's a headache that we're worth having, I guess. One thing that I can't really put into exact words, but I think there's a similarity in like how that works, which is us helping to do whatever we can to help artists get visibility, is really the same path we're trying to take with P10 as the food distributor, in that they're brands that kind of have a great product or the idea of a great product, and they need help with packaging or they need help getting it into the stores. And that's a spot that we just really feel comfortable in like kind of the startup scene, I guess, whether you're a startup artist or a startup food brand or startup something else. We really love just the energy around that. And Nick and I feel like a big thing that we can do kind of in the second stage of our career, I guess, is figuring out more ways to help people with those things, especially here in Atlanta where we're based.